guys, it's Wendy again. I'm here to talk to you about keeping the story straight. All last month, I talked to you about how to organize your life in order to make sure you get all that important stuff worked in. Those of you who are still waiting on the release of Out from the Delta Shadows know that this has been a consistent problem for me. When it comes to my life, my creative writing is the thing that always tends to get the short end of the stick. You know how I figured that out? Yes, the fact that the book isn't quite finished yet is a huge clue, but tracking my activities and my schedule through the steps that I shared with you last month really made everything exceptionally clear. I found out that when I actually do have some free time to be able to work on my creative writing, I tend to do anything that doesn't have anything to do with a computer for a while. It's understandable why I would do that, but at the same time, it's not getting much done on my book. Another problem that I had, though, was what I'm calling the jealous sibling syndrome. When I actually did sit down at the computer to work on some creative writing, I would sit down and I'd have all these millions of other ideas. Okay, well, maybe it's not millions, but Delta Shadows turned into a trilogy. I've got the Melody Shapeshifter story that turned into a trilogy. I've got Maisie hanging out here, and if it goes true to form, that'll turn into a trilogy too. And I've got all these other ideas. And so when I have all these other ideas buzzing around my head, it's making it very difficult for me to concentrate on just this one novel that I want to write. Does this ever happen to you? The minute you sit down to work on your first idea, all these sibling ideas, all these other guys come running in and they're like, oh, she's writing, I want to get written too. And so they all want me to write the story that they have in mind right now. And they won't let me concentrate on any one story long enough to write the ideas down. I discovered that I am not the only one who feels this way, even if you don't share these sentiments. In Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott, which is the book I'm reviewing for you this month, the writing help book I'm reviewing for you this month, she says, you try to quiet your mind so that you can hear what that landscape or character has to say above all the other voices in your mind. The other voices are banshees and drunken monkeys. They are the voices of anxiety, judgment, doom, and guilt. In short, these other voices are something every writer lives with in one way or another. Now, the voices might be telling you about all the different things you need to do today, or they might be telling you all the different things that are wrong with your writing, or like me, they might be telling you about all the other ideas you want to write about. The point is that they're there, and they're distracting, and they're blocking you from achieving your goal. So, what do you do to get past them? Last month, I went over what I've done to get the lists and daily concerns questions out of the way. Doubts about your writing ability, that will fall away or at least quiet down with the more practice you get, the more times you work through them. Or at least that's the hope. And maybe we'll talk more about that at some point in the future. But as for those other stories that are afraid I'm going to forget them if I don't write them all down right now, that's what I plan on talking about this month. And here's a hint. I've got folders and Flash. I use lots of folders for each story. And each story has all of their materials go into that folder. And I use Flash Fiction to help me get the noisiest story out of my head at the beginning of each writing session, before I start launching into my novel. So I might spend half an hour working on the Flash Fiction story to get that noisy story out of my head, stick it in its right folder, and then my mind is quiet enough to be able to work on my novel. Instead of, like I used to do, and spend an hour and a half arguing with my head until I can finally work on the novel for the last half hour. Do you have any good tips on how you handle this in your life? Share them in the comments. And until then, I'll see y'all next week. Thanks. Bye.